The Minions started as minor characters in Despicable Me, but in the years since then, they have become one of, if not the most recognizable media icons in the world. They have their own franchise that includes movies, short films, TV specials, and comics. They represent major attractions in 6 different theme parks across the world. They are a corporate mascot for NBC Universal in the exact same way Mickey Mouse is for Disney, and they have remained pervasive in online meme culture, evolving from boomer memes to multiple different TikTok trends. The Despicable Me and Minions movies alone have made over $5.6 billion, and the entire value of them as an enterprise with films, attractions, and merchandise is estimated to be worth over $15 billion. Like it or not, for better or worse, they are a cultural phenomenon. So how did this come to be?
Minions assemble!
Chris Meledandri was the president of 20th Century Fox Animation, where he had overseen projects like Ice Age and Robots. He left in 2007 to start his own company, Illumination Entertainment, which already had a deal with Universal, where Illumination would produce the films with creative freedom and Universal would distribute them. The studio's first movie was pitched by a Spanish animator and writer named Sergio Pablos and was tentatively titled Evil Me. Illumination hired a full creative team to bring the project to life, which included co-director Pierre Coffin. Illumination outsourced the animation to a studio in Paris called MacGuff, and one of the reasons Coffin was hired as a co-director was because he had made a lot of commercials for MacGuff. So Coffin may have been hired to help oversee logistics of working with the animation studio, but he would go on to play a vital role in the creation of the Minions, because the Minions weren't actually in the movie's script at all. The story of Despicable Me centers around a supervillain named Gru. It was always thought that he would have helpers, but they were always adjacent to the plot. Some of the initial designs by concept artist Eric Guillon showed the Minions as humans, ones that almost look like a blueprint for Dr. Nefario, the character that makes all of Gru's gadgets. At one point, the Minions were even just going to be robots. But one of the issues that came up as the movie was being made was that Gru wasn't very sympathetic. Even though the whole idea was that he was a villain, he couldn't be too evil. For the story to work, they had to strike a balance where Gru had a slight edge to him, but the audience could also root for him. So the directors, Pierre Coffin and Chris Renaud, along with the designer Guillon, realized they could make Gru's helpers a bigger element in the movie. One that could give more comic relief and make Gru a little more sympathetic.
Looking good, Kevin! How's the family? Good? Alright.
And they decided to mash up 2 different ideas. Visually, they wanted something like Oompa Loompas from Willy Wonka or Jawas from Star Wars. But in terms of their humor, they were inspired by old silent film stars such as Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. It was at this stage they knew the Minions wouldn't really talk, and the humor would largely stem from their physicality.
What it is, yes?
And for budgetary reasons, they needed to keep that physical form really simple. So robots transitioned into a pill shape. To help with the physical humor, they decided to make it so the Minions didn't speak a real language. They would make sounds that were mostly nonsense, but sounded like its own language. And the person that created how that would sound was Pierre Coffin. His voice recordings were supposed to be temporary, but test audiences responded very positively to it, so he became the official voice. As the films went on, the Minions' humor remained largely visual, but the story often demanded that they should be able to say a few words here and there. So Coffin would continue to expand this fake language bit by bit, and it's now known as Minionese.
Hello, tres tickets por San Francisco. San Francisco?
Funny enough, the original idea for the Minions was that Gru and Dr. Nefario created them in a lab because creating your own army was such a traditional supervillain thing to do. That background was changed to support the story of the first Minions movie where they existed anciently. This was essentially a retcon because in Despicable Me you can see a blueprint for a Minion, implying Gru did create them. One of the screenwriters, Cinco Paul, has said that in his mind, the stories in the Minions movies are implanted memories that Gru puts in the Minions so that they never have to know they were created in a lab. Despicable Me released in 2010 and grossed over $540 million. The sequel came out 3 years later, which featured an even bigger Minions side plot, and it grossed $971 million. Then in 2015, the first Minions spin-off movie was released and made over $1.1 billion. It was very apparent that the movie-going public wanted Minions. And it's not too hard to see why. They appealed to a very wide audience. The simplicity of the Minion design made them kind of a blank slate. Whether you were a kid laughing about how they say banana, or you were an adult who thought the image of a Minion really added a layer of comedy to your meme. And they easily transferred across cultural boundaries on a global scale because they didn't speak a known language. In a way, Minionese became a universal language. Illumination has gone on to produce several other franchises, including The Secret Life of Pets, Sing, and the Super Mario Bros. But none of them have yet reached the financial and cultural impact of the Minions. But the newest movie, Minions and Monsters, just released, and we have to ask if the Minions' time as a cultural phenomenon might be coming to an end. The movie's opening weekend wasn't bad, especially for its budget, but it was the lowest of the franchise. So the question is, did it have too much competition from the recent release of Toy Story 5? Or are people getting tired of the Minions? How long will the great Minion reside over the city of Los Angeles? Only time will tell. But what do you think? Do you want more Minions, or have you had your fill? Do you think they deserve to be as iconic as they are? Let me know.